Hi guys, how are you this morning? I'm pretty excited to be here. I'm in my hotel room though, and I'm in California, and we have some great questions today. It's some of the best questions that I've seen, and so we might as well jump right in. Fall is here, and Halloween is just around the corner. Boom! All right, the first question is, what and where would you go if you needed to write an elevator pitch for your business, and how is that different from creating your sales pitch? So in ProCode Sales, which you have access to, there is a segment on creating an elevator elevator pitch. Go there, read that, and you will know about creating an elevator pitch, okay? But a sales pitch is an explanation of your product or services in more detail. An elevator pitch is just a 1 to 2 minute pitch about what you're doing in life. So my elevator pitch is, hey, my name is Tom Black. I work with Tom Black Center for Excellence, and we do consulting for entrepreneurs and sales managers and individual salespeople. That's my elevator pitch. Yours can be a little longer if you want to, but one thing you do want to do is have a close to that. You bring them to a point of decision. Hey, I'd love to get together and talk to you about it sometime. Hey, let's grab a cup of coffee and I can tell you more about it. Or hey, let's find out about each other's businesses. How about a cup of coffee next week or this week? Okay? And so that's how you do it. Is everybody with me? Good. Next. The name of the submitter is Drumgo, Sean Drumgo. And the question he asked, what are effective ways to market and sell to franchise organizations as a vendor? And the description, this one deserves some, is I have a business that works with companies, organizations to manage their energy procurement in the US and Canada. We will perform an energy needs assessment based on site-specific business data. I'm targeting franchises to maximize the ability to scale. When applicable, we can also do feasibility studies to provide complete managed facility services, including solar opportunities. Okay? So, Sean, every business that I built, I started at the bottom of the food chain and worked my way up. So, for example, in the banking industry, we went to the smallest banks first. And then as we sold the smallest banks, we had credibility, we knew more what we were doing, and we worked our way up the food chain to larger opportunities. I think every one of those franchise owners that you go to that have multiple locations are going to ask you, who else do you work with? And when they do, you're going to lose credibility when you say, hey, nobody, do you have any pioneer in your blood, a little Daniel Boone spirit? No. So instead of that, probably the best place to start building a business is with people that you can deal with that make a decision. The downside of working with a multi-location franchise is that your point of contact is not going to be your owner, and yet your owner is going to make that decision. And so it's working through a strong influencer instead of actually working with the decision maker in those larger financial institutions. Hey, Robin. So anyway, that's kind of my answer on that. And there's no easy answer. You've just got to make phone calls, make dials, and get the appointments and tell your story. Okay. Here's a question from Stephen Davis. I have heard many business owners, CEOs, allow their EA/VA to read their email. In theory, it would be great to have someone sort your email, but how does it work in practice? Do they read your email and delete the ones that are not relevant to you? Do they respond to your emails on your behalf? Do they add items to your to-do list? How do you know if they deleted an email that was important or did not respond to an important email? Is this a task that I should delegate or keep doing myself? I run a PEO and HR consulting firm and receive around 100 to 200 emails a day. Of these emails, 25 plus are actionable in a day. Okay? So, Stephen, I think everybody that has a business these days is getting 100 to 200 emails. Some of them are spam. One thing you can do is, have your assistant identify the most important emails and notify you during the day if there's an issue. The other thing you can have your VA do is look for conflicts of schedule. So you schedule something and somebody else thinks you will, and she can also manage your calendar to a certain extent by asking you if you're going to accept this invitation or not. That's what Kristen doesn't mind. But Kristen reads all my emails, and it is really helpful. And she does not respond to any of them without talking to me. But sometimes I just tell her, hey, I'll say, do this, or use this response, or some of the things ask for the same kinds of material, so I just say send this, and so it saves me a lot of time. The other thing I think you can do is get rid of all your spam emails, the ones that you just aren't reading and you're telling yourself you're going to read at some point in the future. Just get rid of those. They're wasting your time. But I'm going to see you in the next week, and we can talk more about that, or we can talk about it on our coaching call. But I hope that helps. Heather, this is from Heather Brockman. When sending an employee for a drug test, is it best to have them accompanied by a member of management? I think we all know, but Heather recently had an issue with an employee involving one of her vehicles. We have on-site drug tests, but I realize I need to have an option for sending her to a facility for better accuracy. Is it best to have them accompanied by a member of management to ensure accuracy of the results? This doesn't seem to be a good use of time, but I also need to make sure the results would not be tainted at all. So we never send anybody with our employees to get drug tested, and we probably drug tested over 100 a year the last 5 years that we had Bank Source, the ATM business. The lab, if it's reputable, will take the drug test and give you the results. They're not going to give the results to anybody else. And there's probably nothing that you're going to do while they're at the facility that will help them be more accurate or do something different than they would do anyway. And so if somebody wants to cheat a drug test, I guess they can figure out a way to do it, but we never send anybody to monitor or manage the drug test. And by the way, if you're hiring people, I know we're small businesses, and so it's difficult, but one thing I think you should do is run a background check. Just find somebody that runs background checks for $50 or less, and it's not a perfect background test, because if they were out of state, anything on their background check from the local governments is not going to be on there. But it's always good to have a background check. I think I've told everybody this story before, that we eliminated 50% of the people we were ready to offer a job at Bank Source by either a drug test or a background check. And so I think it's a good idea for you guys to save yourself some heartaches in the future and just do a background check. And so when I'm doing first interviews now, what I say is, the next step is for you to meet with ABC, and if that meeting goes well, they'll present you with an offer, and the offer is subject to a background check and a drug check. Are there going to be any surprises? And what's interesting is most of the good candidates will say, yes, I have a DUI 10 years ago, or yes, I have a misdemeanor, or no, I'm clean, or whatever that happens to be the answer. And then some will just get knocked out. They'll lie to you, okay? So anyway, it's just an idea about hiring people in the future. Let's see. The next one is from Monica. Redleaf. Now that's an interesting two last names that are a plant. Monica Redleaf. Okay. What are ways to validate your business idea? Her description of her business is, I'm trying to validate a business idea, which is some type of ring and or bracelet, to identify available single people looking for love out and about in their everyday lives. My original plan was to get feedback from 100 people, and I've been unsuccessful at reaching 100 single people. Any fast yet effective ways to move forward? Well, all the dating apps have single people on them, supposedly. Not. But, certainly you can find candidates on the dating apps. And there are single groups in every city. And, there are single groups in most of the big churches. And I think you could contact those people and get your 100 single people to test. I like the idea. I don't know that people would do that. And there are some people, obviously, who are single who aren't really single. And so, you know, it would eliminate those people, which is probably valuable in the future. But I like the idea. That's pretty cool. Let's see. This is from Kristen Pitts. How do I learn to be happy in the present and enjoy the journey? She says, struggling to stay patient. I want my 10-year plan to be here already. Things are going great and progressing, of course, no issues. Yet I feel depressed and I'm broke. I want to be happier, okay? I'm a happy boy, just a happy boy. You remember that song? Anyway, so let me talk a minute about happiness, and I hope everybody listens to this if you haven't listened to anything else so far. Happiness is a way of traveling, not some place you arrive. Most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. When I was younger, I was a member of the I'm going to be happy when club. I'm going to be happy when I get a job. I'm going to be happy when I get a car. I'm going to be happy when I get a house. I'm going to be happy when I get married. I'm going to be happy when I get a divorce. I'm going to be happy when I get the bonus. I'm going to be happy when I move. And so I spent my life, the first few years of my life, chasing that elusive happiness. And then I realized that happiness wasn't a house, it wasn't a possession, it wasn't a person, it wasn't an accomplishment, it wasn't any of those things. Happiness is a state of mind. And most people are about as happy as they make up their mind to be. Now, we know lots of people who have it worse than us. And Kristen, you know, I don't know what your personal situation is, but trust me, there are people in other parts of the world that have it worse. They are worrying about, third world problems. Where am I going to get water today? Where am I going to eat today? Where am I going to get shelter today? And most of our problems are first world problems, frankly. And so they will work themselves out if we do appropriately work towards them. But we have to have a high level of persistence and a high resilience to rejection. And if we will practice those two things, most things will work out. And Kristen, this is my best advice. Nothing in the world will take the place of persistence. Talent won't. The world is full of unsuccessful men with talent. Genius won't. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education won't. The world is full of educated derelicts. The slogan "Press On" has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race. And so that would be my best advice. I don't ever want you to be content. I do want you to be satisfied in the moment. And that is the key to happiness. Satisfied in the moment, hope for something better, never content. Okay? So hope that helps. Next. This is from Rohit. Hey, Rohit Gupta. How do I approach convenience stores to sell my products? What should I say? Now, Rohit sells exotic snacks and drinks from around the world and would like to place my products in convenience stores, but not sure how to approach them, like what to say for my pitch. Okay? So you have a business like anybody else's, Rohit. You know, just because you're calling on convenience stores, it doesn't matter. I have a business today that has about 600 convenience stores as customers. And at one point we had 3,500 convenience stores as customers. And we were really good at selling convenience stores. But there's nothing special about the approach to selling convenience stores. All you do is you develop a prospect list, a list of the convenience stores you want to sell. Secondly, you get a phone approach. Third, you use the phone approach and answers to objections to set the appointment. Fourth, you go on the first meeting. You present the idea. You give them a plan for implementing the idea, and then you follow up or you get a decision that day. It's the same as selling anything, and you can do it. I like the idea. I think anytime you bring something unique to convenience stores, that's good. And I hope that helps, okay? Robin. How many park drawings will you need this year for gifts? An acceptable create a need question for the prospect? So she's asking about needs-based questions. So first of all, let's explain need-based questions. So the first meeting with a prospect should always be a needs assessment meeting. And the first part of the meeting should be establishing rapport. Where are you from? How long you been here? Where were you at before that? Where'd you go to school? How many kids do you have, etc. Right? So establish rapport. But the second part of the first meeting with a prospect should be finding or creating a need. And so that means you have to ask needs-based questions. And in Robin's world, she's selling art. She wants to ask needs-based questions around the sale of art. And so one of the questions she wants to some advice about is, how many part drawings do you think you need this year for gifts? So that is not a needs-based question really, Robin. That is a closing question. A needs-based question might be, have you ever considered giving art for Christmas gifts? Okay, that's a needs-based question. Or, one of my customers gives art at almost every occasion. Have you ever considered using art as gifts for your important prospects or your important clients? Those are needs-based questions, okay? And so I hope that helps. Let's see. Here's another one. Oh no, that's not it. Here's a question from Kyle Wood. Hey Kyle, what is the process you go through or questions to ask when solving a problem? Now, who could possibly answer that question? I read that question earlier and I thought, what is he talking about? But let's see if we can figure it out. I consult businesses on their warehouse supplies and logistic needs to help uncover the small expenses that can be turned into more profits for their business. During my calls, I'm looking for the problems with the supplies used to ship and receive products that are not clearly visible, so I can help the businesses by increasing their cash flow. So I think that's a needs-based question. So I think what Kyle is asking me is, what should I be asking to uncover problems in business owners' supply chains or their logistics that would allow me to save them money? Now, I'm not sure how he's going to save them money or what he's going to do to save them money, but Kyle, I think the best answer to that is get some needs-based questions that help you understand it, And so you start by saying, tell me this, where's your product manufactured? How does your product get to the warehouse? How does it get from the warehouse to the customer? And how long does that process take? And just understanding the supply chain in the business will help you, or in a warehouse, the same kinds of questions, okay? So I hope that helps, Kyle. These are great questions, guys. Jenny Dawson. How do I know when it is the best time to leave my full-time corporate job to pursue my small business full-time? Okay. My business is a holistic wellness company specializing in yin, yoga, mediation, and sound healing. I launched it in 2017. I feel the momentum building with business opportunities, but I'm not driving enough revenue yet to rely on my to leave my job. If I could focus all of my energy on building the business, I would level up much faster as opposed to splitting my time between tasks for the corporate job and my small business. I'm taking on as much new business as possible, but nothing promising enough to give me reassurance that now is the right time to cut the cord. Help, please. Thank you. So I have the privilege of knowing some self-made billionaires. Yeah, that's with a B. And I know I have the privilege of knowing lots of self-made millionaires and multimillionaires and 100 millionaires. And so one thing I know all of them had in common, every one of them, it didn't have anything to do with race, didn't have anything to do with sex, didn't have anything to do with education, didn't have anything to do with physical appearance. None of those things were consistent in these people, but the one thing that was consistent in every one of them was they took a risk. So that's the thing an entrepreneur has to do. He has to take a risk, or she has to take a risk. Now you can minimize that risk. You can start saving money right now from your current job until you have enough money to leave your current job for 90 days to 6 months, right? That means you have to cut back on your lifestyle. That means you have to make some sacrifices, but you can do that. Second thing you can do is that you can borrow money from the bank until you have 90 days to 120 days of income set aside that you can live on. And then the other thing you can do is go to your current employer and say, hey, I'd like to work 4 days a week instead of 5, or I'd like to work 3 days a week instead of 5. And you kind of hedge your bet that way as well. And so any of those things work. But the thing is, as an entrepreneur, you've got to take a risk. And so you've got to figure out what is an acceptable level of risk for you, your family, the people around you, okay? Next, Corey Stevens. Hey, Corey. And this is my last question. What are some of the things I should be doing in the early stages of building my plumbing company? This is my first time going self-employed as a plumber. I am wanting to know what are some of the things I should be doing in the early stages that will help me grow my business, and what should I be focusing on most? Okay. So, Corey, there's several things, okay? One is I want you to reach out to everyone in your sphere of influence and tell them that you're starting your own plumbing company. If they have any plumbing needs, water heater, toilet, any plumbing needs whatsoever, that shower, bath, any of those things, that you would like a shot at their business. You'd just like a shot at their business. Secondly, as one of my friends, if you'd like to help me, I'd appreciate anybody that you can introduce me to, or that you can tell about my new plumbing services, okay? So you're asking them for their personal business, plus you're asking them to refer you or introduce you to their sphere of influence, okay? The second thing is that every time you go on a job, I want you to get some door hangers and go up one side of the street and down the other and leave a door hanger about your plumbing services, okay? A third thing you can do is get a lead development system. And so Dan, who does decks in Denver, and Michael Forrest and Eric Blandino all have excellent lead source systems built up. And rather than take a lot of time on this video, what I'd like to do is encourage you to contact those 3 members in AO, and they're good people. They'll help you and tell you exactly what they're doing to generate leads for in-home kinds of services, okay? And then the other thing is you can direct message on Facebook and LinkedIn. So who needs a plumber? A home builder, right? And so you should be trying to connect with home builders on Facebook and LinkedIn in your general market, and you can send them direct messages, even if you're not connected to them. Hey, I've just started my new plumbing business. I'd love a shot at your business. I've just started a new plumbing business. I'd love a shot at your business, And so I don't think you're going to have any trouble whatsoever getting 40 to 80 hours a week of work as a plumber. But then the fun part will be adding the next plumber and adding an assistant and then adding a marketing system. That'll be the fun part, Corey. And if I or any of the people in the AO can help you, we'd be glad to. All right? So listen, I appreciate your time this morning, and I think these are great questions, and I hope I've helped some of you out there. If I can help any of you in the future, just send your questions in, and Sean or someone on his staff will help get those questions to me or to the appropriate mentor, okay? So thank you very much. Now go sell something. Now go sell something.